Hey, Shabbat Shalom, my friends. You know, the parallels that we find in our Torah, Jewish history just keeps repeating itself. And we can get so much inspiration and so much guidance from just looking into the weekly Torah reading in terms of how to deal with the situation that Israel and the Jewish people confronts today. We know that Abraham had a famous nephew called Lot, who in this week's Parsha, he saves him and his family from Sodom when God destroys the corrupt city of Sodom. But in last week's Parsha, the Torah tells us that Abraham's shepherds and his nephew Lot's shepherds were not getting along, and there was a quarrel between the two. And finally, Abraham says, you know what? Al natia miriva b'nei u'b'necha. Let's make sure that there are no fights. Ki anashim achim anachnu. We're brothers, we're family, you're my nephew. Halo kol haaretz lefanecha. You have the whole land before you. Let's separate, and you go left and I'll go right, or I'll go right and you'll go left. And Rashi, the great biblical commentator, says something very powerful. That when Abraham told Lot, you go left, I'll go right, or I'll do right and you go left, the chol asher teshev, wherever you may dwell, Abraham was telling Lot, lo etz rachek mimcha, I will never distance myself from you. Ve'emod lecha lemagain, and I will stand for you as a protector, ule'ezer, and as a helper. So he says that even though I'm suggesting we don't live in the same area, I'll still be here whenever you need me. The sof davar, and at the end of the matter, as we see in this week's Parsha, that's exactly what Abraham does. Lot is captured, he's a hostage. Abraham frees him and then saves his family from Sodom. And even though they were not living in the same country, in the same area, Abraham was still there for him. I'm standing with these signs behind me of the hostages in Israel. Abraham's nephew Lot was a hostage, and even though he was distant, his proximity was not close. When he said, I'll go left if you go right, I'll go right if you go left, that when he says, I will go right, ayamin, which is from the word emunah, to be faithful. Even though we might be physically separated, I will always remain faithful to you. We, the Jews of the Diaspora, we may have gone left when our brothers and sisters in Israel went right, or vice versa, and we may live a couple of thousand miles away. But they are hostages now, and we have to follow the example of Abraham, who said, even though we may not be living together, doesn't mean we don't still take care of each other. It's our responsibility in the diaspora to do whatever we can. And I've been urging this since this war started. Don't let a day go by without picking up the phone and calling one of your elected officials and say that the hostages have still not been released. Don't let a day go by without collecting something. And I'm urging you to help us at MJE collect lots of materials that Jill and I, V'ezrat Hashem, are going to be bringing to Israel on the 13th, and the day before, on the 12th, right here at MJE, we're going to be having our annual blood drive and mitzvah fair right back to me, right in this hallway where I am right now, where I'm filming from. And we're converting it this year to a packathon for all of the materials that we need to bring to Israel, for soldiers on the front lines, for families that have been dislocated. We may be a distant apart. We may not be living in close proximity, like Abraham told Lot, but I will always be there for you, and I will remain faithful to you. We, the Jews of the diaspora, will remain faithful to you, our brothers and sisters in Israel. Shabbat Shalom.